Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Today on Headline Highlights, Tuesday, January 20th, a famous actor from The West Wing turned accused child predator. And we have an alleged Amish killer facing prison time.
And an absolutely shocking au-pair murder trial currently unfolding. Trust us, you've never heard a story like this before.
This is Headline Highlights. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of Stop Who Does That Headline Highlights for Tuesday, January 20th. We have a great show for you today. On today's episode, we will be covering West Wing actor turned alleged child abuser Timothy Busfield, alleged Amish killer Samuel Hochstetler, and Brandon Banfield / the au pair murder trial that is going on right now, as well as ending. And today we're going to be switching it up for you a little bit. Instead of doing Florida Man Google Roulette, we're going to Maryland and Texas for some crazy stories that you don't want to miss. I'm your host, Jackie.
And I'm Jenna.
And we hope all of our listeners had a great weekend. I was just in Gettysburg over the weekend, Jenna, for a little ghost hunt. We stayed at the Cashtown Inn, and it did not disappoint.
It looked amazing. And just everything about Gettysburg, it's so close to home for us to just shoot over there for all the ghost hunting and history.
It was crazy. Immediately when I walked in, the owner greeted us, and as she's talking, I thought I heard a woman call out from upstairs, or like some kind of woman talking upstairs. And I stopped because we made eye contact, her and I, as if she heard it too. And I stopped and I said, "Are we alone here?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's just us." And I was like, "You don't have a housekeeper upstairs?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Did you hear that woman?" And she's like, "Well, I heard your friend's phone go off," which my friend's phone did go off. It made like a little chime that she got a text. But I was like, no, I heard a woman upstairs. And nobody else, they were like, I didn't hear it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm crazy. And she goes, maybe you're not. So, yeah, I could go on, and I don't want to eat up a lot of time. But if anyone's interested, you can follow my paranormal account, Experiment Paranormal, on Instagram. We have a lot of good stuff out there for
That's
you.
awesome. I don't know if it snowed out in Gettysburg, but we got a lot of snow here in the Lehigh Valley on Saturday and Sunday, so it just made for a cozy little weekend. Staying in, watching the snow fall. It is extremely frigid and freaking cold up here in the
It
Northeast.
really, really is. And there's more snow coming this weekend.
Yeah,
At least where I am.
It's been a bad winter, but we also have a very big announcement, Jackie, that we want to share with our listeners and our viewers, that we have joined the Darkcast Network. So we are now a part of the Darkcast Network, bringing you other like-minded podcasts with a dark atmosphere, spooky vibes, dark humor, paranormal, crime. So we are now part of this network, and we will be sharing with our viewers and listeners some of the other great podcasts that are members with in this group. So we're very thrilled and excited for the opportunity. So you guys,
We are just blown away at how opportunities have been coming our way, and we definitely want to lift up and support those other creators just like us who love all the weird, dark things. We do have another announcement coming soon. This one is even bigger than this, if you can imagine, guys. And we don't want to say anything right now, but keep an eye on our social media. We will be announcing that soon in a few days, right, Jenna?
In about, I'd say in the next week or so, it will be coming. So stay tuned for that. We want to thank everyone for your support, likes, follows, and all our subscribers. Share, please, with your friends and family who love true crime too. And don't forget our TikTok. I think that's all.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Today, we're going to start out with Timothy Busfield. He's this West Wing actor turned alleged child predator. If you're not familiar with him, he's married to Melissa Gilbert. She's from Little House on the Prairie days. I'm not sure how old our viewers and listeners are, but I know I remember watching that show. How about you,
Yeah,
Jenna?
I remember
Yeah.
watching it at my grandma's house with my cousins. It was like in syndication and it would just be like kind of
Right.
on. It was like a period show of like the frontier time. But Melissa Gilbert was very just well-known, famous
Right.
actress
Yeah.
and continued to be so. And I actually didn't even know this was her husband, but
I didn't either. It's a second or third marriage, I think, for
well, now
both
everyone
of
knows.
them, maybe. So, Timothy Busfield, I've never really heard of him before this, but he is best known for his role as Danny Concannon on The West Wing. I never got into that show, but
Wow.
if you're a West Wing fan, that's where he comes from. He turned himself into authorities in New Mexico on Tuesday on charges of alleged criminal sexual contact with a minor and child abuse, according to police and U.S. Marshal sources. The charges stem from accusations that Busfield inappropriately touched a child actor on the set of his show, The Cleaning Lady, according to a criminal complaint obtained by ABC News. According to court documents, the child's parents reported that the alleged abuse began in 2022 when the child was 7 years old and lasted until 2024. Busfield denied the allegations when interviewed by investigators, according to the criminal complaint. Now, of course, he's going to deny. However, this is not his first accusation in life of being inappropriate with a minor. I don't know about you. I don't know how often lightning can strike your life, twice, 3 times, whatever. But 1996, he was accused of SAing a 17-year-old female on the set of Little Big League. These accusations ended with settling out of court with the 17-year-old, and then he had to issue payment to the law office that defended him in this case. I believe, from what I'm learning from the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively trial, is that the production company usually has to hire these. So that's probably why he had to pay back the law office that was being hired by the production of Little Big League, I would imagine. The publicist for Busfield's wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, as we mentioned, she said in a statement on Tuesday that Gilbert is honoring the request of Tim's lawyers not to speak publicly while the legal process unfolds. Melissa stands with and supports her husband and will address the public at an appropriate time. The court document also argues Busfield should remain detained. The prosecutors also accused Busfield of speaking to the media before turning himself in to allegedly prioritize personal narrative control. At a brief court appearance on Wednesday, a judge said Busfield will remain in custody in New Mexico with no bond. During the phone call with investigators, Busfield allegedly said that it was, quote, highly likely that he had physical contact with the twins while filming The Cleaning Lady. Now, the minors involved here are twin boys that played one character, kind of like the Mary-Kate and Ashley type deal on Full House. Quote, I don't remember those boys, he also said, according to the affidavit. Quote, no, I don't. I don't actually. I don't remember it. If it happened, I don't remember overtly tickling the boys ever, but it wouldn't be uncommon for me, end quote. An update came out last night via the New York Post that audio obtained from the police by the New York Post suggests that the boys, when initially interviewed by investigators, denied Busfield ever touched them. Busfield's defense attorneys plan to present this information at his hearing, which I believe is today. Prosecutors allege that the audio only shows the victims failing to disclose the abuse. So I get where the prosecutors are coming from. They could have initially just were like, oh, no, he never touched us like that.
Keep in mind, they're 7 years old.
Yeah.
You're disgusting, Busfield. Like, this is gross, and I'm sure this has been going on for the last 40 years. If you went back in time, I'm sure. But kids aren't going to say anything, just like these boys probably were like, what are they going to
They're
say?
embarrassed.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. I just feel awful for these children, and he should never have been allowed to work around children in the first place after the first accusation happened in the 90s.
Problem is, he wasn't charged with anything.
They settled.
Yeah, they settled. Then do future producers and film companies, did they even know about that? Although when I pulled up his Wikipedia article, it was in there. under legal troubles column. So I don't know if that was recently added or it's been there for a while, but you'd think they
No.
do a little bit of a background check on these actors. I wonder if they do. Does anyone know? If anyone knows out there if actors get background checks?
I mean, like you said, if nothing was filed, if they settled, then there's no real.
Yeah. But like people working with him, if you're checking
Yeah.
references. But then
Yeah.
again, do people speak up? Do they
Probably not. Everyone's probably afraid of getting,
flash
saying
in
too
Hollywood?
much, getting involved, yeah, getting blacklisted by Hollywood. It's a whole sick
Yeah.
thing that they're doing out there in Hollywood.
I know. It's sad because, like I said, what are the odds you're accused of doing inappropriate things with children not once but twice in your life? Right?
And I'm sure it was a lot more than twice.
Yeah. And those are just the ones we know about.
Yep.
So, where there's smoke, there's fire,
Yeah.
I'm sure. And again, this is all alleged. It's all
Yeah.
alleged. But it will be interesting to see how this plays out, especially getting denied bond.
I thought so too. I thought that was peculiar because he didn't do anything
Violent that we know of.
violent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they have more on him,
There could be.
assaults or something. Yeah. So we'll keep our eye on it.
We will. So Jenna, tell me about this Amish killer. What's
Okay.
going on here?
So, for our listeners and viewers, we here in Pennsylvania have a huge Amish community. Here in Lancaster County, it's very, very populated. We are all familiar with the Amish, their farms, their horse and buggies, and everything. So, I also know that Ohio has a similar large Amish community. So, this story is coming to us from the Ohio Amish community. In Pomeroy, Ohio, prosecutors are urging an Ohio judge to reconsider her ruling suppressing incriminating statements made by an Amish man about a murder he's now charged with. Samuel Hochstetler is charged with aggravated murder, rape, and kidnapping in the death of Rosanna Kissinger, who was found dead in her trailer home in March 2025. Hochstetler was raised in an Amish community in Kentucky before moving to the Ohio Amish community in Meigs County. In a written decision following a hearing in the fall, Judge Linda R. Warner ruled that statements Hochstetler made to detectives with the Meigs County Sheriff's Office would be inadmissible at his trial because the defendant didn't understand his rights. Basically, Samuel's primary language is Pennsylvania Dutch. That's what the Amish speak. It's a form of the German language.
I was actually at Hobby Lobby not too long ago, and there were Amish women there, and they were speaking it, and I was like, "Wow, it sounds
Yeah,
legit,
so
like
my
German." But
my
yeah,
my grandfather, my dad's father was PA Dutch and he spoke it and he spoke English too, but I mean,
Mhm.
he had a thick, we call it a Dutchy
Yeah.
accent is what he had. And he would always tell us, if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much. He would always say that.
Aw.
So PA Dutch, as we call it, is the norm for these Amish in our area as well. Judge Warner is saying the police did not make sure that Samuel understood his Miranda rights because he didn't know English. English isn't his first language. So the police here, when they arrested him, they assumed they just started speaking to him in English. They didn't even ask if he understood. They weren't familiar with the language spoken by the Amish. I feel, but they kind of really fucked up here because they didn't make sure he understood what they were saying. So,
Yeah, I guess they assume that they're bilingual. That's kind of what I've always thought is they're bilingual, but I guess
so
not.
when I was
So,
in Canada and Quebec City and their first language is French, they would
mhm.
just start speaking in French to you right
Right.
off the bat. And then you would have to say English, please.
Mhm.
And then they would speak English. So I feel like if he didn't even understand the English,
He should have said something.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Or maybe he did and they didn't care, but
Right,
yeah.
right. So Hochstetler was taken to the sheriff's office on May 5th, 2025 by deputies who were talking to him both during and after the transport about Kissinger's death, his relationship with the victim, and his thoughts on what led to the crime. While Judge Warner ruled that the circumstances did not amount to a custodial interrogation. She said that when the officers decided to read Hochstetler his Miranda rights, they failed to ensure that he understood what was even going on. And that's why she's making this ruling. So,
Hmm.
that some additional background here for those of our listeners and viewers who are not familiar with the Amish community. They typically do not watch television. They read secular or English materials. They have dealings with government officials. So they don't watch TV. They don't read English books. They don't know about the English government or anything like that. The criminal justice system, attorneys, lawyers, they don't even know they don't use that. They don't know what it is. So Judge Warner is saying this puts the defendant in a somewhat different position than an average English suspect who's arrested for murder. So this why this case is so peculiar, because they weren't arresting just an average English person from Ohio.
Mhm.
So, like we said, Hochstetler's primary language is PA Dutch, and Judge Warner found the defendant proficient in English, but he failed to grasp the concepts like we were just talking about. They don't know anything about the government, lawyers, whatever. So he wasn't grasping concepts such as, quote, court of law and attorney, which are critical to understanding, Jackie, your Miranda rights.
Mhm.
So rather, the officers tried to explain the concepts by telling Hochstetler that his right to have an attorney was akin to, quote, having the church bishop go forward with him in front of the church and God and ask for and anticipate receiving forgiveness. So Judge Warner said he believed confession would lead to judicial forgiveness, like in the church. He fundamentally misunderstood that his statements would be used against him in adversarial proceeding. So,
Well, I see that the cops were trying to give him something to correlate it with.
but
It
I
sounds
don't,
like they were
Jackie,
trying to explain it, but they used it was not a good example.
that's a good
Yeah.
example at
Yeah.
all, because it's
Yeah.
that first of all, you're combining church and state. Like, you're not really supposed to do that. And going in front of the bishop and confessing your sins is not the same as speaking to an attorney in the
Yeah.
court of
It's almost
law.
like a leading statement.
So
Yeah, I get it.
Samuel thought, okay, then I'll confess because I want to be forgiven. He just wasn't comprehending the legal process here.
Right.
So, in a motion urging the judge to reconsider, prosecutor James Stanley argued that because the court found that Hochstetler was not in custody at the time of the interview, reading the Miranda warnings was unnecessary. Miranda rights apply when a defendant is in police custody.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of technicalities here. Was he in custody? Was he not? Hochstetler's attorney, Kirk McVeigh, argued in a response to the prosecution's request to reconsider that, regardless of whether or not the defendant was in custody, he had a right to remain silent and to the assistance of counsel that he didn't understand. So I don't know here, Jackie. Like, this could be used to this case.
It could be used on anyone. I mean, how many this makes me think of oh, Making a Murderer. Remember
Yes,
the
yes,
nephew?
yes.
His IQ was so low that
Think you're
you
right.
argued he didn't understand either.
Yes,
I mean,
and I think that it does apply to those situations as well. I think this should have been viewed in the same manner. But now what are they going to do? It's all been done. And
mhm.
I guess the defense is going to say his confession is inadmissible.
Yeah, so you gotta start all over.
So you got to start questioning him. You got to start this whole process all over. So a hearing is scheduled for January 26th for prosecutors to argue for the statements to be allowed back in. So there's some back and forth going on here. And meanwhile, Samuel Hochstetler sits in jail, and
Yeah.
I don't know who else would have killed Rosanna.
Well, it's crazy, right? The legal system, we're expected to just not remember he said that, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that never
And
happened. We gotta ignore it. But
you're
like,
romantically involved with her. You're one of the last people to see her. Everything traces back to you. So are the Miranda is this whole I didn't understand, I did understand is he still allegedly killed a person.
I know.
This is so much back and forth like that they do in the legal system here. This is now
know.
dragging out, but we'll keep our eye on it. And
I know it does raise important questions, but then I worry, like, how many more times are people going to pull this card?
I
I'm
agree.
intellectually disabled. I didn't understand.
I think it's a pretty good.
How is a cop supposed to evaluate that? That's the thing. I don't know. It's interesting. It's
It is.
interesting.
That's a very interesting case. We'll keep our eye on it and we'll see what happens after January 26th because I'm really interested to know if those statements are going to be allowed back or they're going to clean slate start over. So
Great.
that's that. And Jackie has a really wild trial to tell us about.
Well, if anyone out there is watching court TV or you're just wondering what kind of trials are happening right now that maybe I might want to tune into, we've got the au pair Brandon Banfield murder trial happening right now. I actually take issue with calling it the au pair murder trial because Brandon here, to me, he's really the villain. But let's talk about it. So Brandon Banfield is an IRS agent. He is charged with aggravated murder in the February 2023 deaths of his wife, Christine Banfield, and a random person named Joseph Ryan. Prosecutors allege that the murders were part of a larger scheme between Brendan and au pair Juliana Perez Margulies, who were having an affair. Essentially, this is a tale as old as time, right? They need an au pair to take care of their child. The husband starts having an affair with the au pair. We've heard this before. So Brandon, he began having an affair with the children's nanny, Juliana. Shortly after the affair began, he began plotting his wife's demise. Yet, the plot he and Juliana cooked up was extremely bizarre. In February 2023, it is alleged that Brendan contacted this random person, Joseph Ryan, about engaging in an RAPE fantasy with Brendan's wife. Brendan, using the screen name Anastasia when conversing with Joseph, invited this man over to his house to engage in this fantasy with Christine. Joseph agreed to come over and brought a knife and restraints. Unfortunately, the knife Joseph brought over was used against him as the nanny, Juliana, called 911 that day at least 3 times, hanging up twice before reporting the emergency on the 3rd call. Brendan then took the phone from her and said he shot a man because that man stabbed his wife, reported the Associated Press. Authorities soon arrived at the Banfield home in Herndon, Virginia, and found that Ryan had been fatally shot and Christine suffered from multiple stab wounds. She was later taken to the hospital where she died. So, if you weren't following, basically, the husband created this fake profile under the guise of a woman named Anastasia on some kind of role play website, fantasy rape at BDSM website, okay? Anastasia is supposed to be his wife, trying to get this man to come over and engage in this role play fantasy that Christine, his real wife, did not consent to and presumably had no knowledge about, in order to have a reason to kill his wife and make it look like someone else was the perp. Does that make sense, Jenna?
Say about this case is what the fuck was he thinking? That this is so elaborate. I literally don't think we have ever heard of a murder plot that was this elaborate and twisted, Jackie, especially down to the made up Anastasia name to lure Joseph.
It's really her husband pretending to be a woman who wants some man to come over and tie her up and beat her up without her husband knowing, So imagine you're Christine, right? You're the wife.
Horrible.
This guy came over at 7 a.m., Jenna, to do this, okay? And it's 7 a.m., you're getting your kid ready, whatever you're doing. You hear a knock on the door. You go to the door. I'm Christine. I'm like, hi, how are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? And this guy just forces his way in, and he's thinking that I'm playing along with this fantasy that we just talked about as Anastasia, right? So she's probably like, get the F out of my house. And he's thinking this Joseph guy is like, well, this is just part of the game, right? So chases her upstairs. And the next thing you know, her husband, who she thinks is coming in to save her from this random person, he shoots Joseph with a gun and then comes after her with a knife.
You know what this story reminds me of, Jackie, with this sexual aspect is Robert Chambers. Remember Robert Chambers, the preppy killer from 1986? He was charged in strangulating Jennifer Levin in New York City's Central Park in 1986, and his defense was it was rough sex, and that's how she died.
Yeah.
So this is reminding me of that with the whole rough sex. It went too far and people died.
Meanwhile, the au pair's watching all this go down, right? She knows it's going to happen. So they did release some of the text messages. If you go on the Herndon, Virginia County website, they have like a lot of the evidence that's being displayed in court every day on the website. I looked at the text messages between Brendan, aka Anastasia, and Joseph as they set up this meeting. And Jenna, they're way too graphic for me to even talk about on our podcast without YouTube probably banning or not letting the algorithm do its thing. But essentially, it reviews what's going to happen in this encounter. And I mean, they talk about cutting up with knives, being tied up, and all kinds of violent things that Joseph was going to do to Christine, quote unquote.
This is
Which
sick.
Christine had no knowledge. I mean, think of level.
What was wrong with Joseph?
Right? That's another question.
I don't even want to.
Right.
We don't even have time to get into what was going on with him.
Oh, and he talked about in these text messages how this wasn't his first rodeo either.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
He brought the restraints and the knife. So, I mean, he had the whole kit ready to go.
Girl, there's a whole subculture of these people.
I know. That is just sick.
And Anastasia was saying how, like, oh, well, you got to come at 7 a.m. My husband won't be here. So Joseph's really just a random person involved in this. He was literally just an ends to a means. He was somebody that was going to be looked at as an intruder because Christine she thought this guy's like trying to come in and rape her, you know?
That
For real, like
honestly,
not even agreeing to this.
Can you imagine you're just trying to get ready for work?
Right.
That poor woman. I mean, I can't imagine.
And then your husband comes running in, and Brendan, he did have a gun because he's an IRS agent.
Of course he did.
He has a weapon. He shoots the guy in front of you, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, my knight in shining armor, my husband's protecting me." And then he picks up the guy's knife and just starts stabbing the crap out of her.
It's horrifying. I mean, like we just talked about on the Jamie Sylvanik case, how Cheryl was fully aware that her daughter and lover were killing her. So she was fully aware her husband was killing her.
Yes, and set the whole thing up. He had to have set the whole thing. I mean, there had to have been a point where she realized he set this whole thing up. And then you've got the nanny, I'm presuming, is standing there or somewhere in the vicinity, knowing this is happening. Now, the nanny is serving as a key witness for the prosecution. She said he told her that divorce was not an option. And during the court proceedings, they're showing a lot of social media posts she would make in the bathtub with him while she's living there behind Christine's back. When she would post to Instagram, she'd put like a smiley face over his face. So like no one even on her network would know who she was seeing. Right. Yeah. So like she kept him kind of discreet, but was still sharing photos of them in a bathtub together.
Yeah. So she can't deny. She can't deny that they were having an affair. Right. Why do people do such stupid things and then post about it? Like, if you're having an affair, like, be discreet at least. Now you're freaking posting it all over social media. Well, like, what a moron.
Right. And then somehow she was taken in first. She was arrested in October 2023. So this happened in February. So we do have a little bit of a delay. October, she's taken in for the death of Ryan. Brandon was then arrested a year later in September 2024 for the deaths of both Christine and Ryan. And then they go over some like letters they wrote back and forth when she was first arrested, the nanny. And, you know, you could kind of tell she's flipping on him because he stopped writing her and contacting her. And then she's like, well, I'm just going to cooperate. So then she did plead guilty for manslaughter in the death of Ryan.
She did.
She did plead guilty, but then I think there might be some kind of deal, who knows, being worked out that she's testifying now, admitting that, you know, this was all orchestrated by him. So you'd think, though, when she went to prison, why wouldn't he try to keep her happy and keep talking to her? But no, he stopped talking to her, and that's what pissed her off, and stopped paying attention to her. So you kind of sunk your own battleship there, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we're on day 4, day 5 of the trial. I know the medical examiner's been testifying about Christine's wounds, something along the lines of like, as she's being stabbed, she's literally breathing in her own blood. So this was not, it was not a quick and painless death here. She really struggled. And to know that your husband did all this to you, and I'm sure she probably put it all together that the nanny was involved in this. I mean, that's just
She might have even had her suspicions before this
right.
started. Yeah.
But, you know, Jenna, the way this was planned out, it's just jaw dropping. This is so elaborate. Maybe it would have worked, but you also have these text messages pretending to be Anastasia. So did you forget the police would find out you
Yeah,
were
it was
mad and having an affair with the nanny? Like, did you not think they'd put it all together?
it wasn't executed very well,
No.
but
And, you know, we need to dive into the psychology of love triangles and why people lose their fucking minds.
yes, we need to do a whole episode about that because this is very common. And you're right, they lose their ever loving mind over a person. A- And it's like, how about you just move on?
As we talked about with Jamie Sylvanek, the adolescent brain, it's not wired to process, you know, things and anticipate outcomes, right? But we're talking about full-fledged adults here. I mean, this guy was an IRS agent. I would imagine he's college educated.
Yes.
What?
And
What happens here in your brain?
just like the Tepes,
Yes,
like the murder
the
with
doctor.
the Monique Tepe and her ex-husband, talk about that love triangle too. I mean, like that was gone and buried 10 years prior, and he comes back. There was something going on in his head for all this time. It's definitely a thing.
It reminds me of the lyric from Taylor Swift's song Don't Blame Me. It goes, "Don't blame me, love made me crazy. If it doesn't, you ain't doing it right." So it makes sense, right? It doesn't make you crazy, you're not doing it right. So,
These people certainly were crazy, so.
but we will keep you posted maybe in the next headline highlights on how that trial is progressing. But what a
Yeah.
crazy fucking story. I'm telling you.
Truly. Yeah, we'll keep our eye on this, and I'm pretty confident that
He'll be
he will-
convicted.
he'll be convicted.
I don't see how there's a way out of this one, bro.
Yeah, double homicide too, nonetheless.
All right,
But-
speaking of crazy stories, Jenna, you've got another crazy story.
Yeah.
So much so that we're like, we're going to give Florida a break.
Yeah.
And we're going to move to Maryland.
Yeah.
So what's going on with this Maryland man?
Okay, so we're giving Florida Man a break this week, and we're going to Maryland for Maryland Man. So, coming out of Baltimore County, Maryland, it is a man charged after telling his friend that he had a woman for him. Okay, one of his best buddies, I have a woman for you. I want you to meet her. But the twist was it was really him dressed up as the woman. This man thought he was meeting a woman for a night out, and then he found himself at the center of a police investigation after a shocking betrayal by someone he trusted most. According to the charging documents, the suspect allegedly told his longtime friend, his other dude friend, that he had a woman lined up that was interested in meeting him. The friend hesitated at first. You know, he probably was like, I'm tired of dating. I really don't want to meet anyone else. Like, bro, like, just give it a rest. But this guy was so insistent that he meet this, quote, friend, that he finally got the friend, to agree. He was reassured, I know this girl, you're really gonna like her. So when the two met, when his friend met this so-called girl in a parked vehicle late at night, things felt off to this friend. The, quote, woman avoided speaking and she kept her face partially covered. She appeared very nervous. And moments after getting into the car, the friend realized the truth, that the person in disguise was allegedly the man who invited him there, his own friend.
Was he was he really interested in his friend that he disguised
Yes,
himself as a woman?
I think so.
So he was serious. It wasn't like a joke. Like,
No.
gotcha. Like,
No, it was like not a prank. I think he had a crush on his friend and he went so far, Jackie, as to disguise, like he wore women's clothing, makeup, and a wig. That's why he had his face covered. So this became an altercation. Now they're physically fighting. And
wow.
this case is just basically highlights the danger of trust being weaponized and how this took a turn into a very legal territory now.
Yeah, apparently you can be charged with impersonation.
Yep. So, and then Jackie has the man pulled up here. He honestly looks like a regular 7-year-old white man. He has brown hair, a beard.
Like a normal.
He looks like he could be like work at your office or
Yeah, I was gonna say just put him in a dress shirt and he's good to go. I mean, there's no
college
tattoos, there's no like
professor. Yeah,
piercings.
he very clean cut,
Yeah.
normal looking white man. But he obviously was like hiding this big secret that he
Yeah,
had a crush on his dude friend, and
man.
instead of telling him, which probably wouldn't have gone well either, talk about concocting an elaborate plan. I mean, this was elaborate, Jackie, to
Yeah,
dress
that is
up
elaborate to go that way. Oh my gosh.
just to.
Wow.
What did it? Was he? I don't even want to know, honestly,
I
what he was
don't want to
hoping
know.
to accomplish in that car. But I'm glad
Oh
the
yeah,
friend.
by the way, I noticed that, and I'm like, why would you meet a woman in a random parking lot? That's so sketchy.
Yeah, like
Like,
late at night, and I don't say things did go to second or third base in that car. Wasn't he gonna find out that like it was a man?
eventually, I'm sure, or like get a little closer and realize maybe there's some hair follicles on the face.
I I mean, he has a full beard.
Yeah, he probably no. I mean, if that's the mugshot from that night, or
I don't know. I mean, that's a
it's
full
kind of
beard.
grown out. Well, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
But I mean, you'd think he would have shaved it, but still, you can get close enough and realize there's like a 5 o'clock shadow. I mean, it's
Yeah, and he doesn't look like a small man either. Like
no.
so I don't know. We saw this case, we were like, "Oh
Oh, this
my
is
God."
crazy.
So that was our Maryland man story, and we have an extra state story that Jackie's going to tell us about as well.
We have a Texas man.
Yeah.
I saw this one. Excuse me. I saw this one floating around on social media, and I'm like, oh, this is just too good to be true. Let me pull up on my screen here, and I apologize for anyone listening in their car. You won't be able to see it, but I'll give you a description here. The headline is, man wearing "I will put you in a trunk" hoodie is arrested after a 37-year-old woman's suspicious death in Texas. So, usually when people make these shirts, and it's usually people in the true crime community, let's be real, we're joking, right? We're not serious, but I mean, this guy actually can back up his hoodie.
The hoodie
This
doesn't even
man,
make sense.
yeah. On Thursday, January 15th, wanted fugitive Cruz Dean Wanser was arrested by officials following the suspicious death of Margaret Pennington inside an Asley, Texas residence on January 11th. Wanser is currently being held on the following charges: tampering with or fabricating physical evidence with intent to impair a human corpse, possession with intent to deliver controlled substance, we got some drugs involved, possession of a controlled substance, and parole violation. The fugitive posed for his booking photo wearing a blue hoodie which had a disturbing message written across it in white letters. Let me read it again. The message read, "I will put you in a trunk and help people look for you. Stop playing with me." Here it is.
There he is. Wow.
I mean, first off, I have a Cricut machine. I theoretically could make this, but I don't know. This is a little much with the two.
Well, somebody made it for him, Jackie. Somebody made that. That is custom. He has face tattoos.
One on each quarter of the eye. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a teardrop or it's just like a black dot in the corner of his right eye.
He
I don't
looks
know what
strung
that
out.
is. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Looks like somebody that you'd find in prison for sure. But what are the odds the police show up to arrest him and he's wearing that?
I know.
I mean, that's why he made headlines, because it's like, you can't make this up. You just can't.
It's almost like he just had a premonition that day that he put that hoodie on.
Yeah.
That was the day. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I mean,
Yeah,
anything you put on every day, you don't know what's going to happen throughout your day, especially if you're someone that's, usually in trouble with the law. Let's be real. Do you think they get up in the morning and they're like, got to be careful what I wear? I might get arrested today. Like, maybe it's keep in mind what my mugshot picture is going to look like. Like, he was not thinking that at all. Clearly.
No, that was a bad choice of hoodie for that day, but it definitely made for a funny headline.
I know his loss is our gain here. I mean, we gotta have something to talk about.
We had a whole tour today, skipping over Florida. We went to Maryland. We went to Texas.
Last week we had a Pennsylvania man.
Yeah, we did today too in our story. So we're kind of giving the whole tour. I think we need to go over more to like the Midwest and the West Coast. We haven't been covering any stories from over there for,
we should do Alaska.
Yeah, we should. Okay, we'll do that next
week. Missing there all the time.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I wonder how many people do crazy things in Hawaii.
I feel like maybe we should look into that. I mean, it's paradise.
It's such a happy place.
I feel like what could you possibly be mad and, irritated about?
Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell went to Hawaii after they did what they did.
I've been there. It's very beautiful. The last thing I'd be thinking about in Hawaii is any type of crime.
Well, maybe we'll look into Hawaii and Alaska.
Yeah, I think we should.
But I know we have listeners all over the country. So if you want us to feature someone from your state, send us a message, send us an email.
We would love to do it.
What have you? Yeah,
we would love to do another state, and even our listeners internationally in Australia, if there are any cases or crimes that you want us, or counties, or however, it's separated over there, but that would be great.
Well, as we wrap up today, we hope you enjoyed today's headline highlights. We will be back on Friday with a deep dive, as we always do.
Yep.
And we will see you then.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.